Kentucky. But I've never seen Bigfoot, but now I have seen the Goatman, and that was terrifying.
What's the Goatman?
The Goatman is I was up in Kentucky and staying with Andy Paul, and me and his buddy of mine, Michael, we were up, and I was working, and I was doing stuff in his basement, Andy's basement, I had my studio set up down there, and well, we heard something outside, and I know everybody just laughs when I tell the story, but this is what really happened. We went outside, and he had this big old spotlight type of thing, and he's like out there, spotting around. And I'm out there with this, I got a freaking pretty big flashlight, but it's just a flashlight. And Andy Paul had this really, fantastic place. What they call it is a little horse, I guess, a horse or a goat pen or whatever. It wasn't a goat pen, but you know what I'm saying?
Something like that.
The cattle or wwhatever. I say goat because of the goat man. But anyway, no, I went out there and I'm looking around because we're trying to figure out what was making that noise. And I pointed toward this shed, and the shed is like probably 40 to 50 foot away from me, And I got the thing, the light on it, and I see this little bitty light, little bitty, and it was like it's green, and I was like, what the hell is that? And Michael was on the other side of the freaking farm, and I'm like, hey man, get over here, dude, get over here. He's like, what's wrong? I said, just get over here as fast as you can. And I'm sitting there, and I'm only 30 or 40 feet from this thing, right? So I'm pretty close, I'm close enough I could pick up a baseball and hit it. Put it that way, pretty easy. About that far, a pitcher mound and the plate. So I'm sitting there, I'm like looking at him, I'm like, what in the world is that, man? He goes over, what's going on? What do you see? So he takes his light and he flashes over there, and this little bitty pinpoint. It gets freaking huge, and this big old eye, and it just wham, and the how it looked when it closed its eyes and opened it up, and it was standing there the whole time looking at me, and then it squared up at us. He took off running, I took off running, and I stood there long enough to see the outline of it, and we didn't know what it was. When it's there, we start looking on the internet, and sure enough, that we were about 2 miles from the train track, this train bridge, that the thing is always spotted at. And put it this way, we got the guns out, man, and we stayed inside, but we were ready. This thing was probably 3 or 4 foot taller than me.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't Sasquatch at all. The way its legs looked was like, it reminded me of a freaking goat. I'm just telling you, it really did. It reminded me of like his legs were backwards than ours. How ours is like legs went the other way.
What the fuck?
Well, there's certain theories about that thing. Is that that there's a family of freaking really deformed people out there that we can run around, and there's all kinds of theories on it. Can you pull up the goat, man? Maybe show on the show. Picture, but it was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen like that. It was weird. But it's the only place to no.
Yeah, where were you at?
In Kentucky. It's up there around Louisville, Bardstown. Heck.
Jamie, can you put it on that screen? I called him Jamie. Jackson.
You can put it on that screen. We got Tropic Thunder up there.
I just called him Jamie like I was on Joe Rogan or some shit.
Blow it up. Blow that shit up. Blow it up.
What in the world? Oh my God.
Yep.
That is weird looking.
That's what I saw.
No shit.
Yep.
Wow.
Now that looks.
That
looks like a human in an outfit, and but I'm saying.
I don't know. Does it? Look at its foot.
Yeah, it is pretty wacky.
That foot's looking weird.
You got to remember to cut to that.
Look at his hand next to his foot.
I know, dude. It's what it looked like, though. But what's messed up is how small. See, I thought it was a light that was coming through the shed that I was looking at. So I thought it was a light coming in. I had no idea it was somebody standing there. This thing was standing there against that thing staring at me the whole entire time. So whatever it is, it ain't scared of people. It ain't. You know, people just say, I thought, well, you know, that's one of our buddies from Louisville. You know what I mean?
Like messing with you or
messing
something.
with. Well, I was like, it's 3 a.m. They're not gonna sit out there, but they could have came and parked it way at the end of the driveway. But man, I don't think so, dude. The way this thing looked, like his legs were so much smaller than the top part of his body, and the head was so huge, and it just looked absolutely crazy, you know.
Weird.
And it really, you know, I've seen UFO. I've seen one. Well, I've seen a couple what I thought was UFOs. I mean, I have, you know. I mean, but there was one particular incident when I was a kid that really affected me. But you know about that. I've told you about all that.
Yep.
But now, I never have seen Bigfoot, but I've always been so intrigued with Bigfoot because I think he represents who we really are. I do. I'm not kidding either. I think that I think that there's.
You're fascinated by that subject.
I am because it's so. Because I think they're the indigenous species here. I think that we're the intruders. I think that they have most of the fucking, and I think there's a lot of them. And I think they live. Huh. I think there's mean ones. I think there's good ones. I think just like there's people, and I think they're around us a lot more than what we know. And I think that they probably, if I had to guess, Bigfoot will, just like this whole thing with Skinwalker Ranch. You know, they're finding out. You know, these anomalies or whatever UAPs. What's going on is really, honestly, they're about to find out what they really are. And it's going to be another part of our science that we know and our kids will know. And I think that's the same thing with Bigfoot. I think Bigfoot is so real, it's unreal. But that's me.
So what about like the Yeti?
Well, the Yeti, they found a Yeti. You know, they called it the Yeti.
The same thing?
Well,
different. It's like
what they said was a 10,000-year polar bear that was extinct and mixed with a grizzly, but it walked on 2 legs. Now that's in that one. Gosh dang it! Can you find who was the Jackson? Who was the explorer that died? It has one stuffed in his living room, and he has it stuffed in his living room.
Because the Yetis are like white, right?
Yeah,
and they live in the mountains.
Yeah, but now there's been other Yeti things come up where the footprints didn't look like this thing. Look, but now that just happened not long ago. This is in 2020. Last year, an expedition, they came upon some tracks and they took pictures and everything, and it was like ridiculously huge. I mean, ridiculous. What was the name? Okay, Matthew Henson. Does it have a picture of the Yeti?
The Legacy of the Arctic Explorer, Matthew Henson. Weird.
I mean, well, nobody ever questioned what it was until he died, and then they're like, "Wow."
I always love that story about those Russian hikers. That I think it was they were hikers, but they.
I saw that today.
And they were.
I swear to God, I saw that today.
So they're in the mountains.
Yep.
And they're in their tent. Like their tent was. Yep. Something didn't break into their tent. Something broke out of it. Man. And then they all died, and they were like, weren't they like
eyes were gouged out?
Yeah, they were like severely mutilated. And they were like in like some abandoned area, like nobody was around.
No,
and it wasn't. They said that it wasn't like an animal that got them, like it wasn't like a bear or like a wolf or something that got them. It was like totally unexplained. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I watched it today. I saw
what is that?
I saw a thing on it today. Gosh dang it.
It's like one of those unresolved or unsolved mysteries.
Yeah, and that's I think it's what the show is. Yeah, man, I wish I could remember everything about it because I saw it today and I was like, wow. It was.
Oh, they were all naked too.
Yeah,
and it was the middle of the winter,
and then some of them were just stacked up in a pile, middle of winter, and then. Now they won't let anybody in there. Period. But see, there's several theories on it. Some people say it was the KGB, and that they ran upon something or saw something they shouldn't have, so they just had to kill all of them. But why would they gouge their eyes out? cut their tongues out.
Yeah, it was like some weird ass shit.
Weird, man.
And it was in a location where there just shouldn't be.
But the big clue to me is that there was radiation involved.
Yeah, there was radiation involved.
And that's what I'm going.
Yeah.
So maybe Godzilla really exists.